travel from dendrite to synapse. From synapse again that electrical signal is converted to chemical signal and then transferred to the dendrite of another neuron. Transferred to the dendrite of another neuron. So the dendrite receives the signal in the form of chemical signal, and in the dendrite the chemical signal is converted into electrical signal. So in the dendrite, chemical signal is converted into electrical signal. It is the branch of the dendrons. Which one? Dendrite is the branch of the dendrons, and in the dendrite, dendrite receives the chemical signals, and in the dendrite, the chemical signal is converted into electrical signal. Then, what is the duty of the neutron? What is the duty of the dendron? What is the duty of the dendron? So it is the shortest filament. It is the shortest filament in the neuron structure. It is the shortest filament that is called the dendron. It carries impulses from dendrite to cell body. It carries impulses from dendrite to cell body. That is electrical signal from dendrite to cell body. Who carries? The dendron carries electrical signal from dendrites to cell body. Cell body is a place, or nucleus. Here we know that there is nucleus. Cell body is a place where the nucleus is present. And first of all, here the chemical signal is received by the dendrite, and the dendrites converts that chemical signal into electrical signal. That electrical signal is then carried to cell body through dendron. And then next one is axon. It is the longest filament of the neuron structure. Longest filament. It carries impulses from cell body to outside. Which impulses? It carries that electrical signal. Axon carries that electrical signals from cell body to outside. So there is an insulator covering in the axon that is called a myelin sheath. It is a protective layer, or otherwise we can say that it is a protective layer. Myelin sheath is a protective layer, or an insulator cover covers the axon. That is called the myelin sheath. And there is Schwann cell is there. Schwann cell encircles the axon. And finally, there is nerve ending. At the tip, there is a nerve ending, and there is synapse. This point is synapse, which interconnects this neuron and another neuron. And here, the important property of the synapse is that which interconnects. The synapse interconnects one neuron, and it will connect to the dendrite of the another neuron. So in the place of synapse, the electrical signal is carried from where? Dendrite to dendrite. Chemical signal is received in dendrite, and the chemical signal is converted into electrical signal. That electrical signal is carried to cell body through dendron. From the cell body, axon carries that electrical signal to outside. So right now, synapse receives the electrical signal, and in the synapse, what happens? That electrical signal is again converted into chemical signal, and that chemical signal is transferred into the dendrite of another neuron. So here, in the case of another neuron, that dendrite receives that chemical signal. So again that dendrite transfers that chemical signal into electrical signal, and in the form of electrical signal, that dendrite transfers that electrical signal into cell body through dendron. Again that axon carry that electrical signal from cell body to outside. In the way, when it reaches the synapse receives the impulse in the form of electrical signal, and in synapse, again the electrical signal is converted into chemical signal. That chemical signal is received by the dendrite of another neuron. This process is repeatedly done, or this process is repeated. So here, this is the function. So the dendrite receives chemical signal, and in the dendrite the chemical signal is converted into electrical signal, and the electrical signal is carried to the cell body through the dendron, and from the dendrite the electrical signal is carried to cell body through the dendron. From the cell body, it carries the electrical signal to the nerve end at the tip through axon, and finally the electrical signal reaches the synapse, and in the synapse means the axon ending. The electrical signal is again converted into chemical signal, and That chemical signal is transferred to next neuron. Who receives the chemical signal? The dendrite of the next neuron receives the chemical signal. This process is repeatedly throughout. This is the structure of neuron and the function of each and everything. So first of all, dendrite receives the chemical signals and the dendrites converts that chemical signal into electrical signal, and the dendrite transfers that electrical signal to cell body through dendron, and the axon carries the electrical signal from cell body to outside through the way in the synapse. The electrical signal is again converted into chemical signal, and that chemical signal is transferred to next neuron. Who accept that chemical signal? The dendrite of the next neuron accept the chemical signal. This is the process happened in the case of neuron transmission. Now moving to the stimulus and response. Stimulus response. Here we want to discuss that what is meant by stimulus and what is meant by a response. As a result of the stimulus, there will be a response happening to every organism. And what is the process in between the stimulus and a response that we want to discuss. So here is a flowchart containing stimulus, receptor, central nervous system, effector, and response. So what is meant by a stimulus? An internal or external change in the environment that is received by the receptor is called a stimulus. As a result of this stimulus, there is an action occur, and that action, due to that action, there is a change in organism, and that change in organism due to the result or as a result of the stimulus is called a response. As a result of the stimulus, there will be a change in organism, there will be an action takes place, and that action is called the response. So with respect to stimulus, stimulus is an internal or external change in the environment that is received by the receptor. So with respect to that stimulus, there is an action occur, and that action is called a response. For example, if we touches a hot substance, immediately we withdraw the hand. Immediately we withdraw the hand. So the action is the withdrawal of the hand. That is the response. The stimulus is the heat is the stimulus there. So when we touches the hot surface, there is a stimulus that is called heat. Due to that heat, we immediately withdraw our hand. We immediately withdraw our hand. So that is the action takes place there. Withdrawal of hand. That is the response there. Heat is the stimulus there. So how will we know that we want to withdraw the hand? How will we know that we want to withdraw the hand when we touches the hot surface? So this is a process from receptor organ to the effector organ. This is a process. How that process happens? So whenever a stimulus is occurring, that stimulus is received by the receptor, and the receptor carries that impulse to central nervous system to the effector organ, and then the output. So here the input is the stimulus. The input is the stimulus. So the internal or external change in the environment, that is input is the stimulus. For example, heat. So this is transferred to the receptor organ. This is transferred to the receptor organ. So this stimulus is converted into or transferred into electrical nerve impulse in the receptor region. This stimulus is converted into electrical nerve impulse in the receptor region, and from the receptor it is transferred to the central nervous system through sensory neurons. Within the central nervous system, it travels with the help of relay neurons, and from the central nervous system, that electrical nerve impulse carried to the or transferred to the effector organ, that is the muscles or glands, with the help of motor neurons. Finally, the reaction occurs, and that is called the response. For simply, we can say that if heat is the stimulus, as I earlier said that if heat is the stimulus, that means if we touches the hot body, heat is the stimulus here. Heat is the stimulus here. Heat. So that heat is received by the receptor organ. So heat is received by the receptor organ. Which is the receptor organ? Skin in the hand. So when we touches the hot body, skin in the hand is the receptor organ. Skin in the hand is the receptor organ. So skin is the receptor organ. From there, that stimulus is converted into electrical nerve impulse. That signal is converted into, or the stimulus is converted into electrical nerve impulse. Right now, from skin, it is transferred to central nerve system, simply called spinal cord. Spinal cord. So that electrical nerve impulse is transferred from skin to central nervous system, that is simply included the spinal cord. More accurately, we can say that it is transferred into the spinal cord. So right now the spinal cord receives the electrical nerve impulse, or the central nervous system receives the electrical nerve system. Sorry, electrical nerve impulse. Electrical nerve impulse. So first of all, the stimulus, the heat is converted from the stimulus part to the electrical nerve impulse.